Wow, if I had a Bitcoin for every time I pooped my pants, I would not be making these videos. Guys, as we talked about this very important moving average yesterday, Bitcoin did get rejected off this 100 weekly moving average, but there's two key things we have to look at on the daily chart. For one, Bitcoin is still holding this very important trend line that goes all the way back to February 14th, right on the tippy top of this. Now, what does it mean if this gets broken? There is another thing we talked about in yesterday's video. If we're going to pump, this is the exact level that has to be broken. Yesterday, we were right here, and now obviously we have broken below that. So we will not see a pump unless we break above the 50-day exponential moving average on the daily chart here, but we're not even close to it now. About $350 or so below it as I'm recording this. But guys, this is where we're finding support now. And even more importantly, this is a line we've had on here for months. This red line right here, we're getting a bounce here as well. So this is very important. If we get a bounce there, this is bullish, but we cannot go much lower. So far, we've seen 2 days of wicking below that, but daily closes right on this line. So what does that mean? As well, Bitcoin is on the brink of some serious downside, but guys, more importantly, I have to show you this. This is a crypto scam going around through emails, and coincidentally, I actually got this email about 3 days ago. It was absolutely wild, and I cannot wait to tell you about it and what it means. Let's do this. Oh, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another extremely important episode of Bitcoin, guys. It is very possible right now. We're right on the brink. It is possible that we could see a big dump within Bitcoin's price. I've been getting comments for weeks now. People want to see one last drop, and as we've been talking about, that's probably the most likely scenario. Before we go into the halving, we might see one last drop, especially for the year 2020. This could be our last flirting with 5K, 6K, all of those levels. Because again, after the halving, we expect things to be a little bit more bullish. And as the year goes on, more and more bullish. So absolutely very critical. We need to take a look at that. And more importantly, this scam email that I actually got about 3 days ago, and I just saw an article about it today. So it's like the perfect time to bring it up. I got this email. I cannot wait to share what my experience was with it and what the email actually says. Be careful. So guys, before we jump into the episode, make sure if you want to enter for these ledgers, make sure to leave a comment below. Ding the dings, ding the bells, ding the subscribes and the comments, and let's do this. So I actually want to start off with this because this is actually pretty important here. So this is an email. It's like I think it's called like a sextortion email. Basically what it is, if you have a phone, it's like an email scam where they say that they have videos of you, like using your webcam from your phone. They apparently say they hacked into it and they have videos of you while you're doing the dirty, while watching like dirty videos and stuff like that, and they will expose you if you don't send them like $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. And this is crazy because I actually got this email about 3 days ago, and I read through it. I usually don't read through scam emails, but it came into my inbox instead of my spam folder, and I was just reading through it. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but honestly, I'm sure some people could fall for it. So definitely watch out for that. Don't send anyone your Bitcoin. And if they have footage of you getting down and dirty with some videos, guys, I mean, what are you going to do, you know? We got to be proud of what we do when we're alone. Am I right, brothers? Wow, very awesome stuff. So definitely watch out for that. And then, guys, we seriously have to talk about this article, but let's dive into the TA first of all. So yesterday, we were hovering right on this 100 weekly moving average on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. So this was really important here. Okay, this blue line right here, we were right here about 7,100 or so, and we've since gotten rejected off of it. So this weekly candle is very new. We could end this week in a bullish candle or a red one, but we're still way too early on in the week, in my opinion, to know how this week is going to play out. But we really have to take a look at a few things because the weekly chart shows one thing, but if we really want to dive into what's going on, I think this is the most important thing here. So if we zoom out, again, guys, remember, we have not had a breakout. We have not had any significant volume. Patterns have been playing and playing. This was the volume from the drop on the 12th there, March 12th and 13th. This is the volume, and we've had no significant volume. In fact, we still have, descending volume. So there is going to be a breakout at some point. Is it going to be the upside? Is it going to be downside? Right now, it looks as though we could be seeing a dump, maybe the final dump before the halving, and maybe the final massive dump of 2020 before reaching some levels that we previously have not reached in the last 2 years. What do I mean by that? 12, 13, 14K plus, and potentially up to new all-time highs. But you see here, we're teeter-tottering right on this line. This is the line we've had. It's very important, we think. We've had 2 days now of finding support on it, right underneath the 50 and the 21-day simple moving averages. And guys, this is something we talked about for a while. That 6,400, we still have really, we've been talking about it since I think back in like the end of March. And we got two little touches here, but we really never came all the way down here. So for a downside target, this is one level we're definitely looking at to see a retest of this channel there. If we switch to this chart, so this is what we premised a lot of yesterday's video on. If we're going to get a breakout, which we're clearly not right now, but if we're going to get a breakout over the next, 2-3 weeks, I think the main area that we'll need to break to actually get that breakout is clearly the 50-day exponential moving average. We talked about the last time that it failed 3 times. Actually, this is the third time that it's failed actually. So 3 times it's failed in the past few months, and when it did have its only success in the past few months, it rallied over $3,000 after breaking. So 50-day EMA, not the simple moving average, the exponential moving average, is going to be very key for getting a breakout. Now to the downside, where are we finding support? It's very important to note that we're finding it right on this line, which again, it makes sense. This is why where we should be finding support. You can see we're finding a lot of resistance here, and now this is trying to turn into support. Okay, but again, it's very weak right now, so who knows if it's going to last. But this is the line that's been going back all the way to the very middle of February. So this has been very important. We've had many touches here, and same thing for the downside. Overall, this has been very important, and Bitcoin has just been hanging on by a thread there. So, I mean, who knows? By the time this video gets uploaded, this thing could actually have crashed through. So, to the downside, because we are expecting probably some downside. To the downside, what we're expecting is probably a pullback to that $6,400 area. And then what we still have on this chart, our ultimate pullback zone was still at $5,400 area. So, about $1,000 difference there between the two pullback levels, but that's the ultimate downside target, which also would pretty nicely line up with this this descending line here over time there. But it does look as though we could be getting a final pullback. I think a lot of people are expecting this. There was a lot of news yesterday with oil and the entire economy. So again, will that impact Bitcoin? So far, it's actually been holding up really well. You can see oil went, let's see here, it's currently at like $11. It went all the way down to, I think it was like on futures, it was like negative. Let's actually take a look here. On futures, it was, you have to go so far down. On futures, it went all the way down to negative $37 per barrel. That's insane. So you can see how crazy it actually looks. And again, this is on the daily chart, and you can see just how drastic in a single day. So that's, who knows what the ripple effects could be throughout the economy, throughout Bitcoin, throughout cryptocurrency, throughout everything. Who knows? Okay, I think it's probably a big deal. But then the last thing I want to look at before jumping into the article here, guys, is this ascending channel, this flag here. We're still holding right on this key line. So a lot of people have been asking on these charts, so have we broken through these lines yet? What's going on? So as of now, up to date right now, what's going on now, we still haven't broken out of these lines. They're still holding. It doesn't look great, but they're still holding these structures here. So what we're saying is we think it's probably going to break out of these soon. Let's jump over here to Bitcoinist.com. Bitcoin on the brink of serious downside as risk of losing support grows. So Bitcoin is at risk of seeing further downside as it tests a key descending trend line, the one we just showed you there. And traders are warning of BTC posing major losses in the coming days and weeks. So again, let's take a look at this, and I think this is important. We talked about this weeks ago, potentially getting a double bottom here, guys, like we got here on the weekly chart back in the beginning of 2019, end of 2018. If we got another pullback down to this $5,400 level, like we talked about on the other chart, this would be perfect. So if we're going to get a pullback, this holds, everything is peachy, everything is fine, okay? Things could go absolutely wild. So that's our main scenario we're looking at. I kind of don't like repeating it because we've been saying it for like over a month now, but again, this makes sense, and this would be fine if we got to pull back to that 5,400. It would cement as a double bottom there, and that would be a really strong macro signal for the market, I think. So that's the downside target if we get it there. Wow, guys, and if you want to see some live streams, make sure to follow me on twitch.tv/Tyler S Crypto. In the time following the tempered signs of weakness Bitcoin showed yesterday when it dipped below 72. So 72 is really important. It's a level we need to break, and we've just not been able to for weeks and weeks and really just hold it there. This weakness has led Bitcoin down to a key descending trend line that it recently broke above, with the potential loss of this level being a grim possibility. The test of this level comes shortly after Bitcoin broke below another key level, which is one we showed you there on the chart. This also comes shortly after it broke below the ascending line that was formed back in the lows of 3,800 in March, so about a month and a half ago. You can see pictured on this chart, and currently that's where it's facing resistance now. So again, that is usually a bear sign. That's usually saying momentum is shifting, and it looks like the price probably wants to go down here. So some key points to take away. Despite the weakness, it's important to note that Bitcoin has been able to remain above the descending trend line, the one that we just showed you on that chart here. And I can actually show it to you again real quick. This one, the most key one right here, this is the level of support, and this is the one they're showing in this chart here. still above the red diagonal resistance, above the resistance of horizontal range, bias of greater trend is still bullish, it says. It could just be a retest, and a lot of people, including like Kevin Svensson and a lot of pretty much every other channel yesterday, were saying about the bump and run pattern, which I don't really cover. I think everyone's already talking about it enough, but it's basically what this could be, what that chart shows on the screen there. So very interesting to note there. But let me know what you think. Do you think this is just a little, like a bump and run and explosion to the upside, which would be awesome if it was. I would love that. But I personally think that over the next few weeks, combined with everything going on in the economy and the world, we could see some downside. And specifically, I would love to see that double bottom play out on the weekly chart, but that would require Bitcoin to go down to 5,400 US dollars. So guys, crazy awesome stuff. Make sure if you're in the market to get a ledger and you can't wait for these giveaways, because guys, I'm not a billionaire. I can't buy 100 of these per week. Check out the link below. They got some really nice sales going on. And as well, if you're interested in getting more TA, people ask me a lot of comments in the comments. They ask me a lot of different things, and like 90% of the things can be answered in this course here. T4, okay, we're still doing the sale, $420 for $35 off. Absolutely awesome. Been hearing back from a lot of you guys. Very awesome stuff. Very short and sweet and to the points with a little bit of goofs and gaffs in the videos. But overall, what do you guys think? Do you think we're going to be going down to the downside, or do you think this is a very temporary thing and we're going to be bouncing? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next webisode.